Welcome to Alive and Thriving. My name is Jessica. I am your host, and I am so honored that you have chosen to listen to this podcast. And that's something I actually want to really talk about this morning to start with is this sense of gratitude because every time I sit down and I create an episode, it still blows me away. And not from a self doubt perspective, and not from the mindset that I used to operate my business from, which I've spoken about on previous episodes, around things like everything that I put out, nobody buys. And who am I to be doing this? It's not from that space. It is like from this space of, do you know what? I create an episode, and obviously, as being part of a small business, we look at the analytics, we see if people are listening to see what topics people are responding to. I find that out too when people come into my inbox and say, "Hey, I listened to this episode and it really helped me." And the thing is, every time, you don't know this about me, every time that I open up my analytics, and I see that there's been downloads on the podcast episodes, I smile and I seriously think, wow, okay, wow, people are listening. That many people are listening to me. Because you can sit here in your room, in your podcast recording studio, wherever you are, and you can talk about these that things that you know can serve people, and things that are personal to you, and things that are vulnerable. And you can talk about all of these things. And sometimes it's easy to forget that on the other side of that, someone's listening, even though that's the intention. I know that sounds strange. But then when I look at these downloads and I see that you have chosen to have me in your ears, you've made that choice. There are millions of podcasts, literally millions. You have chosen to listen to me as a part of that. You have chosen to be in my energy, and you have chosen to give me your time and attention. I don't take that lightly. I really don't. And I see and feel the bigness of that every time I look at my analytics. Every time. If you have recently friended me on Instagram, started following me on Instagram, got friended. Now I'm talking about that shows how old I am. If you recently followed me on Instagram, then you will know that I like to come in and say thank you. I genuinely sit in this space right now where I am blown away that the life that I have intentionally chosen to create, because I know when we are in it, when we are on the journey, it can be really easy to feel like we're not making progress. I've got this big vision for my business, this big vision for how I want to feel in my life, what I want to achieve, what I want to bring to my family, what I want to bring to the world. I have a big vision. And when you're not at that big vision yet, or when your business is still in earlier stages, or you're having challenges, or you're right at the very beginning and the vision still seems so far away, it is really easy to get so caught up in your day-to-day doing that we don't pause to actually be, and we don't pause to reflect on how far we have actually come. And so many of us ignore those small little milestones. And, there is a whole episode on this, on the topic of healing and looking only for your end goal and missing the small milestones. And it's the same in our business, it's the same in our journey to becoming that entrepreneur or that business owner, however you identify yourself as. It is the same in that journey to becoming that version of your success, because we don't just wake up one day and end up in that place. We have to go there step by step, layer by layer, piece by piece. And as I know you've heard me talk about over and over again, we need to do that through a regulated nervous system, through managing our stress response, through diving deep into our internal world so that our beliefs and every part of our operating system that so much is happening unconsciously. So that aligns with where we actually want to go. And every time we get to a new level, we are going to have challenges every single time. You've heard me speak about this before. This is why we have embodied entrepreneur, because it is the internal foundations that you need for yourself. I'm not going to tell you what beliefs exactly are going to serve you. I'm going to help you identify the ones that aren't. I'm going to help you identify the conditioning that isn't. Because a belief that serves me might not be the same as one that serves you. But this is an internal deep dive and a huge internal program upgrade into your version of a successful entrepreneur. If you are listening as this goes to air Friday, 2nd, I think, 1st of March, maybe, as this goes to air, you can still come and join us. You can still come and join us in Embodied Entrepreneur. And every step that you take internally is going to support what you achieve externally.
You're listening to Alive and Thriving with Jessica Reed, the podcast that's all about empowering you to achieve optimal wellness and success through self-care, holistic practices, and raw conversations. Jessica and her expert guests are here to share powerful insights and strategies to help you overcome stress and anxiety, take charge of your life, and thrive in life and in business. Grab a cuppa and let's dive in.
And what we're going to be doing in this episode today is I'm actually going to help you, give you some homework to look at your bigger picture and to find the blessings on your journey that you are currently on. Because it is, again, so easy to wish that you were further ahead. And if that is you, I want you to go back to the acceptance episode or comment where you're listening and I'll send it to you. Come say hi on Instagram and I'll send it to you. But it is so easy to wish that we were further ahead than where we are now. And if you actually give yourself permission to take a look at where you are headed, the journey you are on, the pathway that you are on, which, by the way, is not meant to be linear. It's not some straight pathway. People wonder, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Or why am I doing this wrong? Because it's not a straight pathway. The right pathway is the one that goes up and down, backwards and forwards, 3 steps forward, 10 steps backwards. The right pathway is the one that has these huge highs and these huge lows, because those are the challenges that you get to grow through. You get to grow through those. And you also get to cultivate a mindset that tells you that those challenges aren't the unbecoming of you. They're not the undoing of you. I have sat through some myself recently, personally and professionally. And my energy wasn't where I wanted it to be for certain things. And previously, something would have crept into my head and said, oh, you shouldn't be helping people. Oh, how misaligned is this? You're talking about a business of ease and flow and alignment. I have to go through these times of misalignment or these times of low energy or these times of challenges, and so do you. And the reason that we go through those is because our next level lives on the other side of that. So circling back to what I was talking about when I first started this episode, so acknowledging where you are on your journey, but then actually allowing yourself to feel this deep gratitude of the bigness of what you are doing. I record a podcast episode and people listen. I have followers who have said, I have listened to every single one of your episodes. I can't begin to tell you what that means to me. But what part of what that does mean to me is the ripple effect. The ripple effect, when we start our businesses, quite often we're starting from a place of, we're impact driven at an unconscious level, but we often start from a place with our ego. And we talked about this in Becoming Limitless when we talked about learning. We spoke about, and by the way, you can actually access Becoming Limitless on demand. Just head to the link in the show notes. $35, 90-minute immersion. You're going to upgrade one of your beliefs, help to release it, what is not serving you from your body. And you're also going to get a 30-minute momentum call with me, as well as two other bonuses. Amazing opportunity. Go check it out. You can actually access it on demand now that the lives of but what we were talking about at the very beginning, spoiler alert, just for a moment of Becoming Limitless, is we inviting the ego. And the ego is there to get your attention, to say, what is in this for me? If I learn about this, if I explore this belief, or I allow myself to go through this process, I'm sitting here learning, I'm going to give it my attention. Why? What is in it for me? And so we start by establishing that. What is in it for me? And that's similar to when we start our businesses. Maybe we don't want to go back to our 9 to 5 job, even if you love it, but you want to be creating more time freedom. You want to be spending more time with your children. Perhaps you want to be present through their early years. Perhaps you really want to get a business off the ground and you know that it's going to need more time and attention than you can give it if you're working 9 to 5. Perhaps you are in a position that has been burning you out and you know that for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being, you should need to be somewhere else. Whatever your reason is, let's just say, for example, that is your reason. Or maybe you've started a business because the extra income. Maybe you have no intention of leaving your 9 to 5 at the moment, and you don't have to. There is no reason why these things can't coincide with each other, why we can't have our business and have a job that we love. There is no reason why it has to be all or nothing if that is what makes you happy and if that is what is sustainable for you. Maybe your purpose behind your business is to bring in extra income. And maybe it solely starts because the mortgages have gone up and you have these additional household bills. And so you start looking by how can I earn an extra income? You're making this decision from the ego. What's in it for me? If I earn an extra income, I can feed my family. If I earn an extra income, I can save money. If I earn an extra income, maybe you're driven by the fact that you want to go on an overseas adventure and you need to save for that. And you're capped at your income ceiling in your job. So you are starting your business so that you can have this extra income stream to save, to go overseas and live the dream life that you've always wanted to live, or take your family on the adventure, on the island holiday adventures that you want to take them on. Bring your ego in. What is in this for me? This is what we do. We come in and we say, what is in this for me? Then the next step, and again, we spoke about this in Becoming Limitless, we come in and we're getting our attention. Why, as a human being, as an adult, do I want to sit here and learn about this? Now I understand. If I overcome this fear, if I change this belief, if I do what, if I start this business, then this is what's in it for me. And then from there, the ego has no further place in your business. Once you've got your attention, the ego has no further place, because then what we do, if we are impact driven, which I know every one of you listening are, because that's who I magnet into my world, people who are impact driven. If you're impact driven, then your next question or your next perspective, which some of us don't get past for a long time in the beginning of our business, is, and this is a more spiritual question, the spirit can come in and say, okay, what's the bigger picture? If I learn this, so for example, in Becoming Limitless, if I overcome this belief and I then actually start my business, or I launch the product I've been too scared to launch, or I allow myself to sit authentically in my natural way of being. You've heard me talk for so long about, for how long I wouldn't let myself embrace the energetic side of my business because I was scared of judgment. And I was scared that people would view me as someone who, I don't know, didn't know enough or wasn't educated enough or whatever the stories were. There was lots of stories. And so whatever they were, so I had to overcome them. And if you look at if I overcome this story or this belief, then what is possible for me, but then what becomes possible in a greater ripple effect. Okay, what becomes possible in a bigger picture as I start making my impact, no matter what you do in your business, no matter what you do in your job. What is the impact? Or if you help somebody to do something, if you take care of their finances so they don't have to, hello, come do mine. But you might love finances, but for someone else, that might be an absolute stress point. And if you're a bookkeeper and you love finances and you then help somebody to get better control of their finances, and that takes this stress off, and then all of a sudden that person is not operating from a fight or flight response all the time because they're not stressed over the money. And then that has a ripple effect into their home, into their health and well-being, into their children, into their colleagues, into their employees. It has this ripple effect. If you create beautiful earrings or handmade candles, I have a beautiful one here. I don't drink coffee anymore, and I do miss it occasionally. And this, you can't smell it. Oh, I just realized, yeah, you're listening. You can't see it or smell it unless you're on YouTube. Hi. But it smells like coffee and it's handmade and it's just beautiful. And it brings a smile to me. And again, that shift in my mood, that feeling, that smell of that luxurious coffee bean, and kind of smells like vanilla as well. Oh God, it smells delicious. But that shift in my being, in my state, has a direct impact on everybody that I come into contact with today. Has an impact on how I record this episode and how you hear me. If I came in and I was recording, which I wouldn't do, I wouldn't even record an episode in one of my low states because and not because I don't want to share that I'm not human. No, I'm not going to hide that. But because that's not the energy that I want you to receive. So I get to be human. I get to process those feelings. I get to feel those feelings, but I'm not going to show up and record a podcast episode in that. And so the things that I've then brought in to change my mood. So this beautiful candle, for example, I listened to something this morning. That person doesn't know what impact they've had on me by me listening. Listened to this beautiful hypnosis last night, actually. And again, this person doesn't know the impact that she's had on me and how much that changed my state and how that then rippled into my family and rippled into my health. Anxiety, migraines, they live in a place of stress. They live in a place of low energy. And I acknowledge I have to go through those low energetic waves. I acknowledge that is a part of my human design. I acknowledge that is also a part of me being human. And that is an experience that I get to have. Doesn't make them feel much better, but it means I get to have them. And again, like the challenges, like I spoke about earlier, I have faced some challenges in the last couple of weeks. And to be able to look at, okay, what's going to come out the other side of those challenges, that actually excites me because when I look back over my life, over the last few years in particular, as I have been intentionally up-leveling, challenge after challenge sees me grow on the other side because I'm not meeting these challenges with the same beliefs anymore. And I'm not meeting them with the same reactions and the same behaviors and the same responses. And that's because I'm doing this internal work, the internal work that it never stops. And if your ego, if you are sitting there and saying, you know what, I've worked on this, so it shouldn't be an issue for me, and it's still coming up for you, that's your ego coming in. Again, it holds no place in your business. No matter what you create, again, if you are if you make beautiful handmade earrings, and I can actually tell you a real example of this. It was last year, it was Easter last year. And I ordered some handmade earrings from a Canberran designer. And I was so surprised. I ordered them, oh gosh, when was it? It was the day before the long weekend, the Good Friday long weekend, Easter. And so I think I ordered them on Thursday, not expecting that they would come until literally after the long weekend. And this beautiful soul packed my earrings, dropped them out my front door instead of posting them, and with a little note saying, thought you might like these for long weekend. She, her kindness, that just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. So I want you, no matter what business you are in, no matter what you do, whether you think, oh, yeah, I just do this. So no, how it doesn't impact people. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And what I want you to really focus on with this podcast episode today, you have some homework, is to actually sit down and get really clear on your ripple effect because you have one. Get really clear on your ripple effect. Get clear on the ripple effect of your business and get clear on the ripple effect of your internal healing and growth. Because again, we all need to continue to grow. Not everything has to be a coaching moment. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that every new level will require a death and a rebirth. Every new level will require a release of something that was not serving you, a release of something that is not going to serve you into your next level. Every level will require that from you. So you have two tasks. First of all, and we follow this process. Your first task is if I reach my next level, if I turn inward and I look at what it is that is not serving me right now and I let it go, then what is the ripple effect of that? Where does it ripple into my life, into my health, into my family, into my children, into my friends, into my relationships, into my business, into my work? Where does it ripple? And then create one specifically for your business. Where does your business ripple into? And even if you don't know directly, because someone hasn't come and told you, oh, when you dropped off those earrings, which I did tell this woman, by the way, but when you dropped off those earrings, it absolutely made my day. And thank you so much. Or if someone hasn't directly come and told you, when I listened to your podcast episode, then I went and made this change. I actually dealt with a belief, or I dealt with an anxiety, or I dealt with an emotion that I had been suppressing for a long time. And now I feel free and I'm making decisions differently and I'm not reactive to this and that, which people have come and told me. So I understand my ripple effect. But if people haven't come and told you their ripple effect yet, then I want you to imagine what is possible. What is possible with what you are doing? If you have this change on someone, why are you doing it? If you have this change on someone, if you have this impact, if you provide this beautiful sensory experience for them, how is that going to impact them? Don't stop at them. How is that then going to impact their world? And you can go so far. If someone is no longer living in a state of anxiety or not reactive because they've been living in a trauma response and they have young children, the way they show up for those children is going to be completely different. And their children are going to see that. And their children are sponges. And those beautiful sponges are going to absorb different beliefs and come to different conclusions. And yeah, none of us are ever going to give someone a perfect childhood. None of us perfect. There's always going to be things to happen in life. But my point is that you can literally change the way, if you suddenly start feeling your emotions and you start teaching your children that it is safe to feel your emotions and you don't shame them when they cry and you help them to identify what it is that they are feeling, because you were shamed when you cried, or you don't know how to identify what it was you were feeling. And you've grown up feeling like these emotions are big and scary and you shouldn't be feeling them. And it's wrong to be angry and it's wrong to be this and it's wrong to cry. If you have experienced that and you get to create a different experience for your children because you've gone and worked with somebody who has helped you to realize that, then they are then going to have a different experience for their children. And you can see there is this whole ripple effect. Energy, it's all energy. It is all energy. I'm going to say that again. No matter what you do, it is all energy and it all has a ripple effect. And if you're listening again, you are impact driven. So you need to know what your ripple effect is and know it deeply and know it really, be really proud. What is your ripple effect? So the process is to bring in the ego and start by saying, what's in this for me? If I deal with this belief, if I deal with this problem, if I do this inner growth work, if I launch this business, if I launch this next level product, if I raise my prices, what's in it for me? And then ask the next question. Say goodbye to the ego. And how does this ripple out? What's in it for everyone else? And how does it impact them? And I want you to write it down and get really clear on that. How does this impact everybody else? And once you have that, I want you to come over to Instagram and tell me your ripple effect because that comes back into my ripple effect. Then I know again that what I am doing, the beautiful ears that I am reaching, that there is a ripple. And that is why I do what I do. It started for my own, and no, not selfish. I don't think that's the right word at all. But it did start from my ego. It all started from my ego. I didn't want to go back to my job. I've always wanted to be on this pathway. What was in it for me? This is what I wanted. What was in it for me? Didn't want to work those hours. What was in it for me? Wanted to create something limitless. What was in it for me? I started learning tapping because I was in such a state of panic disorder. So it started from a self-healing perspective. What was in it for me? I got to heal. I got to learn tools. I got to support myself before I could support my children, before I could support any clients, before I could ripple it out. So everything started with a what's in it for me and then rippled into a big impact. But that big impact, that is what keeps me going. That is why I can have these challenges that, again, I get to deal with at this next level. I get to deal with differently. I get to have these challenges though. And I go, my why, my vision, my purpose, my ripple effect is bigger than this challenge. And that is a big part of how I get through this, how I get through any of it. So when you know your ripple effect, come and tell me. Come onto Instagram and tell me your ripple effect. Because I want to know, I want to hear it. And I want to hear how deeply you are impacting people, even if you didn't realize, even if you didn't consider that the cookies that you bake can have such a profound impact on somebody's emotions. Even if you didn't consider that the earrings that you make could have such a profound impact on somebody's whole day, or not even that, then you put them on. And you put on that beautiful outfit that someone's made or designed. You put on the earrings, you put on the necklace, you put on whatever it is she says here in her active wear this morning. But you put it on and your confidence changes or you have this elevated feeling. Those are big deals. Those are really big deals. So whether you are coaching, whether you are healing, whether you are consulting, providing a service, or whether you are crafting something, you are making an impact and you have a ripple effect. And I want you to get clear on that. I can't wait to hear your ripple effects. I know you're going to come and tell me. And then I'm going to circle back to that beautiful space of gratitude. And that was the other thing I'm going to just briefly touch on is for you in your journey, especially if you feel like you wish you were further ahead than where you are now. I want you to come right back to the here and now, right back to this moment. Look at the people who are choosing to work with you, paid or free, depending on what stage you are at in your business. But thank you. The people who have chosen to download your free resource, they chose you. The 2 people that you were sad that only 2 people liked or commented on your Instagram post, but they chose to actually engage in that. So why would we be sad about that? You impacted 2 people, 2 human beings. That is amazing. You're sad because your launch didn't go the way you planned. But you have how many people? 1, 2, 5, 10. Be so grateful for them because you get to impact them. You get to help them. They chose you. I'm going to say that again. They chose you. If someone's listened to your podcast, they chose you. Someone's read your blog, they chose you. Someone's downloaded your app, they chose you. So don't get sad because there's not a million of them. Could you even handle a million? Do you even want a million? Really? Do you really want that many people? Do you have the energetic capacity for that many people? Maybe you do. Maybe there were strategy reasons why something didn't work out for you, and that's okay too. But don't for a moment take for granted the people who have chosen to listen to your podcast, the people who have chosen to follow you on Instagram, the people who have chosen, they've chosen to have you in their feed. They have made that choice. They have chosen you. And I'm going to say that one more time. They have chosen you. So don't take that for granted. So I guess you have 2 sets of homework now. Go into your ripple effect, and then you're going to come and let me know what it is. And then, or even before that, you're going to look at where you are right now on your journey and all of the people that you get to engage with in that, and bring in a deep sense of gratitude and inner peace because they have chosen you. Whether it be 1 or whether it be 1,000, they've chosen you. Thank you again for having me in your ears today. I can't wait to hear your ripple effects. Come over to Instagram. Let me know. Let me know what you took away from this episode. Again, that feeds into my ripple effect. And yeah, check out Becoming Limitless. If you are wanting to have a quick win, if you're wanting to shift through something, if you're feeling stuck, if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, if you're feeling like there is something internal that is blocking you, or something that feels external but you can't put your finger on it, time to turn inward. Check out Becoming Limitless because you can access it on demand. And again, if you are considering embodied entrepreneur as your ultimate internal upgrade, listening as this podcast goes to air, we have just kicked off. But if you are listening later, just come and say hi on Instagram and I will let you know what's going on, the next intake, if you can jump in, whatever is happening at the time that you're listening, then I will let you know. But just have a conversation. You don't know if something's right for you until you ask, right? All right. Have the most amazing day. And I can't wait to connect with you all again next week.
Wow, what a journey it's been today. We are so grateful for each and every one of you who tuned in to Alive and Thriving. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep growing, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your favorite platform. It's a simple but powerful way to support a small business like ours to continue to make an impact.